Oh, baby, we are live. We are on time. It is May 23rd, 2025. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Spence. It's the office hours that you always look forward to. At least I do. While you guys are pounding in, let's see if I got the mic going. Of course, the mic is not working, or maybe it is, and I just can't hear it. Hold on. Gonna check my setting. Got the right mic, got the right thing. I think this is my camera. I think this is my MacBook that is not working. Can I get, oh, you can hear it. Okay, good. We're good on audio. I'm just going to have to chalk this up to, can't ever get it right. I'm so close, but I am actually in the process. I've been, as you guys see, I've been editing and installing new gear, including my new ObSpot, which I really, really love, which lets me do a little panty tilty, move myself aroundy kind of thing. Today, we're going to do something really wild. I'm going to basically, we're going to do Spence vibe coding. I'm going to share. Good morning, by the way, Lloyd, and thank you for checking in and being my eyes and ears today. I am curious to see what is the dealio here. I think this is because, oh, headset, that's why. Let's check it. There it is. Okay. Today, we're going to vibe code. Kurt, my barbecue bicycle brother from another mother. Peace out. Looking forward to the summer, enjoying your great content. I intend to be sharing a bunch more stuff here from this end as well, because we've got the plancha, we've got the e-bikes. We just don't have the weather. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Sharon. We have the regular crowd. I love that. Today is going to be exciting because what I want to say is today is probably one of the most exciting reveals that I've given in a while. I'm going to share with you behind the scenes, under the kimono, if you will, to quote hatefully Tim Ferriss, of what I've been doing for clients and how that relates to the future of both WordPress, entrepreneurship, you, for whichever business you run yourself or the businesses that you aspire to do, because it's undeniable that we've got this situation, of course, going on with AI. But what I found is that WordPress has set me up. I've been set up. After 19 years, they set me up for success, to help you be successful with all of the things that I really envisioned back in the 2006 era, when I was doing stuff on Ning, when ownership and control was nowhere to be found. But because WordPress gives us the open source software that can be in a box that I can deliver, curated, wearing my yellow vest here at IKEA, I can deliver to you an experience and a model and a framework that is infinitely scalable. That is to say, it allows for infinite benefit to every single person in the chain, from me to you, from you to your clients, from your clients to their customers. And everybody as a human being can benefit. We can all learn, we can share, we can all profit, but we can do so in a way that's proportional to the incredible power that is now available to us. And one of the things that's really been different is that, number one, and I'm going to go into this in detail, but I just want to outline this. Number one, the amount of tools that I'm experiencing on a daily basis that are allowing for AI development are just, I'm going to adjust a little bit, incredible. Like, I wake up and I have 2 or 3 newsletters that I look at that are related to AI, including things you guys know about, like Ben's Bytes and so forth. The Neuron, TrueFang, a bunch of other ones like that. The problem is all of those outside SaaS platforms don't have the one thing that we have in WordPress, which is we have all of the mechanicals curated in a box that we own and control. When you build something with what I'm going to show you called vibe coding, and you do it in the outside world on a SaaS, it sounds groovy, except there's a couple gigantic problems. Number one, the thing that you build randomly on the spot really doesn't have any snowball's chance in hell of surviving past the first iteration, unless you really are a true developer. Because learning how to set up an outside platform or a stack and managing all those tools, outside the realm of what you guys want to be doing. Just trust me on this. I'll give you some examples of it. Number two, all of the things that are mechanical features that are important to operating a business. Good morning, Sisu. All of the things that are important to operating a business are already installed, are already in the box. Like IKEA. When you go to IKEA, you don't have to go to another furniture store because they have every single possible piece of furniture or accessories for your home, your apartment, whether you're a commercial developer or a homeowner. Number three, the ownership and control and the transportability and the freedom of all of that does not exist in a SaaS platform. With WordPress, Uncle Spence can show you how to build something for yourself or your clients or take a solution off the shelf, integrating it with the AI and the other amazing tools. You have an engine that's incredible that in the very near future, directly from me, you will be able to do what I'm showing you today, and you can own it. Your client can own it. All of that data can be 100% private, or at least insofar as we understand what the LLMs do with it. And via an API connection to the LLM, that usually means that they're pretty much honoring the privacy. So when you go to a SaaS platform, as much as they say, "Oh, you're private," you just have to open up the news any day. And this morning, for example, Johnny Ives from Apple built a hypothetical product company. And of course, Sam Altman paid me $6.2 billion before it's even created a product. Of course he did. And hired most of Apple's staff away. And of course, Elon Musk is suing him. And all this crazy madness that happens in the world of the billionaire oligarchs and their SaaS platforms, we get to escape. I mean, to the extent that they don't screw around with the APIs and stuff. And the reason is because we own the box that our clients' data, our orders, our products, our everything else is in. We own and we can control. So when you think about it, having one box with the minute launch solution in it, with all the software, amazing curated solutions for integrating the AI tools and making some things happen that couldn't have happened before. A concierge at the front desk, the privacy, the ownership, the control, the humanity, the ability to build stuff and use it to run your business or that of your clients is incredulous. Now, you combine that with the gargantuan vacuum sound, the sucking vacuum sound of WordPress right now, where there is zero leadership. Zero. Our leader is gone. He's been gone for a while. And the stuff that's happening is somewhere between gaslighting and whatever. We don't care because the software is open source. It always has been. And the people who've been making most of the software do understand the problem in WordPress of no leadership. So if you think of this as the destiny that WordPress always had, I am very happy to carry that flag with the minute launch solution, what I'm offering, by saying WordPress stands uniquely alone as this is the destiny it always had, to become something that can be owned and controlled and have privacy and have all of the humanity built into it, baked into it, but yet benefit from all of the tools that are coming on. How could I possibly go wrong with a lead-in like that? All right, let me share a couple things. First of all, I want to see if, because I have the pro version of StreamYard, let me see if I can actually share another thing without switching. I think I'm going to be sort of stuck here. Let's see. Good morning, Julie. Julie, by the way, a little late to this morning, but Julie is one of my prime examples of the vibe coding scenario. And we're building something for her that is just coming around the bend. And I'm probably going to use a couple examples from our conversation. Interestingly enough, this is not letting me share as easily as I want to. So what I wanted to do is a couple things. I wanted to share, I'm going to remove this. I wanted to share some of the tools and talk about what the hell is vibe coding anyway. First thing, let me do this. And I sense my phone is about to ring because my headset is in my ear making that sound. Let me go ahead and switch. Stop screen. Let me switch. Because if I share my whole screen, it's going to be too much. I got to share per window. So let me share, first of all, one of the tools. If this is going to let me. Hold on, let's see. This is it. What does Spence mean by vibe coding? Okay. If you can see this doodaddy here, and this is going to need to be shrunk down, and I'm going to do some live stuff with you. This is a product that runs on my desktop now. And boy, oh boy, is this going to be hard to shrink. Let me see if I can grab the handle. Okay. This is a product called Cursor, cursor.com. And what cursor.com does is it's one of several brand new tools that are available that allows somebody who is in the position of wanting to use AI vibe code to attach their favorite various LLMs. But unlike using it in the chat window, like if you went to OpenAI or if you went to Gemini or if you went to Claude or you went to Notebook LM or any of the other online ones, what this does is it allows the LLM to actually connect to various features and functions on your computer. In my case, I use GitHub to store the data that I'm creating, like with the plugins and stuff. So I use a plugin called GitHub Desktop, but it also works with things like Microsoft PowerShell or my text editor. I use Sublime Text. So think of it, first of all, as a tool that runs on your desktop that allows you to connect your desktop and all of the things you're storing, including, by the way, running a local version of WordPress, to the outside world. Could be GitHub to store the stuff that you're creating. And if you don't know what GitHub is a place where those of us who make code can store and organize the code we write. But think of it like something when you're doing a word processor. It stores and saves the versions of what you're making and allows you to make changes and go back and experiment so that you just don't do one of those things like when you're in college or grammar school, grade school, writing a paper and you're like, oh, damn it, I changed something and I don't remember what I did, or I lost the version that was better. GitHub allows this thing called versioning, but it also allows us to distribute and share. By the way, GitHub for free distributes things to everybody very economically and in a way that's very rational. That's what got me kicked off of WordPress.org. Thank you, Otto and Matt, because I was so bold as to offer an update of a free plugin through the free repository of GitHub, which every single human being on the planet that codes uses. Go figure. All right. The other thing it does is it allows you to connect to outside APIs. So, for example, when you want to have an LLM, an advanced language model, Claude, Perplexity, OpenAI, whatever, you can connect that. So what it's doing is it's acting as a hub on my desktop to allow me to develop and code stuff much faster. I'm talking in my parent voice with parent hands, sorry about that, than if I did it just chat and copy paste. Now, Julie has benefited from working with me in this new vibe coding model, which I'm going to define in my own way. Vibe coding is, instead of the old way of doing stuff where let's say you were building a house. Let's use a metaphor of building a house. In the old days, when you built a house, you would go to an architect and you'd make plans and they would draw blueprints and you would submit the blueprints for permits and all of this planning in advance. Well, that's kind of how we would do stuff with code. Why? Almost like writing a novel or something. It's so much work to go click. If you don't plan it in advance, you could be writing literally chapter after chapter or drawing floor after floor of blueprints. If you had not planned it out in a very systemic way, you're just wasting your time. Vibe coding is different. Vibe coding is like hanging out with a rock star and going, hey, Pacino, tell me about all the ways you made those movies and give me all the shortcuts and the insider stories and all the rest of the stuff. Because that partner, the vibe coding partner, has so much stuff available to it. You can skip the line. You can go right to the front of the line of knowing everything you need to know. And it can even write the code. Now, Julie can attest to this. When I've been working with Julie on this and a couple of others on this, we'll sit down, we'll brainstorm an idea. And at the end of last session, Julie and I had been working about 2.5 hours together. And I was really tired and my back was tired. And I'm like, just wait a second, let me try something. And I just threw the live data from the website, the WordPress website that we were using as the basis of our data input and resource. We threw it into, I was curious about Gemini to see whether or not it could develop a really cool templating system to output that graphically. And I'll be damned, that son of a gun just nailed it. Not necessarily the first design we're going to use is the one that's perfect, but just nailed it in terms of, in a matter of like 2 minutes, right before I just collapsed on the desktop, it just spit out a couple amazing examples of designs. But it also gave me the information and the code I needed so that when we come back to this, I'll be able to put that into the system without having to have planned it myself. So vibe coding is a way to just talk and type and create and interact. And it's even better when you look at my desktop here. It's even better when you're doing it here, because one of the things that I've got is I've got a live project that I'm going to share with you today that is probably the next and most important part to the Minute Launch Kit. This is my AI engine, the Minute Launch AI engine. And with this, I was last night working on something that allows me to search across the open web as well as YouTube and come back with results. And when I do, it essentially gives me suggestions, make notes. One of the things I can do here is I can either add context. This window is incredibly small, so I'm going to see if I can zoom this up. Okay, that's horrifically large. Let me go 2 steps smaller. And again, my apologies, because I realize that I can only share so much for this. In the right-hand window is my AI partner. In the left-hand window, and let's close the PowerShell. In the left-hand window is my code, and my left-hand window is the actual plugin. And this is the Minute Launch AI plugin that I'm building. It's got build notes. It's got other things, README, test files, but the main core file here is coding. And what I'm doing is I can talk to it. So let me give you a quick example of vibe coding for what I'm actually building. I'm going to say, let's set up our documentation and store it inside the docs. Give me some basic documentation right now about 3 things. And this is where you can just talk to it like, in person. 1, the purposes and features in the plugin. 2, the functionality specifically. 3, best practices for using it. Write this out. Now, that's all I have to do. And it knows what the plugin is. It's been helping me write it. It knows where it's at. It can write the actual documentation in the proper format inside of the plugin, inside of my desktop, stored. And then what I've got is I very rarely do this. I've got a live version, a local version of WordPress running, so we can actually test this and see this. Now, depending on which model you're using, I've got this agentic control here. If I open this up, you can see I can either set this to automatic agent or manual, or I can ask or do some various things. I can change which tool I use for building. I use right now automatic, because I don't know if you can see this. Let me know if you guys can see this. It's very small. I use automatic, which selects for my $20 a month subscription between the various LLM engines, Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, and so forth. But you can force it to use one or the other if you want, because one of them may be better. Now, what it's doing is it's now responding. It just created it, and it's asking me questions. Would you like to add more advanced usage? Yes, do it. And also note down here, what I love about this is it gives me an option, either automatically or manually accepting. That's right over here. And again, I apologize, this is so small. That means that I could kind of stop it from going hog wild. I can see what it's doing. If I were to go over here, notice it's just created a file called plugin documentation. And this is in a format called markup. Markup is a universal tool language that allows you to read it on almost every text editor, but you can also read it in Gutenberg and so on and so forth. Now, it gave me everything. If I want to accept it, I say accept, and it writes it to the actual plugin. Now, I'm going to show you in a second how I can look at this, because I can actually go into the tool that I've been building. I'm going to have to switch the screens, which is kind of a drag, because I don't know, my StreamYard only lets me share one thing at a time. So I'm going to have to do this kind of like on the fly, but let's see what I can do. I'm going to switch over here, remove. I'm going to switch over here to, oh, damn you, StreamYard. Why won't you let me share two things at once? Switch over here to my Vibe Coding web browser. And then what I'm going to do, you can't see this yet, but I'm going to just essentially copy the thing that was just created and saved to the live plugin. Now, I have a batch script or a bash script that normally does this manually, but because I'm in this where I'm at right now, I'm doing this manually. And what it does is essentially says, okay, Spence just created a new update. Let's go ahead and move that over to the WordPress local environment, which is just like a hosted one, where he's got this plugin that he's developing, and we can test it live. So I'm going to do it right now. Hold on. I wish I could show you this. All I'm doing is copying and pasting a file, a folder, really. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it says replace. Okay, now let's see if I have any luck with this. I'm going to share this by expanding it out. And let me give you a little bit of a preview. I'm going to share the format a little different. No, that's pretty good. Not sure why this looks so small, but like here is now my local website. I have to also adjust this to scale it. This kind of tortures me a bit. So let me see if I can make it a little bigger and still not make the font so small for you guys. And by the way, please let me know if it is impossible to see this stuff, because I recognize the font is just horrifically small. Okay, that's about as good as I can do it. Maybe if I do this, I can make it fit a little better. Sorry, all the fussing around. You know how I go. Okay, couple things. First of all, if I refresh the page, this is actually the new plugin in action. This is it's out of focus. I can make the words a little bigger. Let's see. Hold on. I realize this is torture. I'm in 4K, but this is about as good as I can do. So try that. We don't need me in there. This is the plugin that I'm writing, and this is the first iteration of the dashboard and stuff, but I can essentially choose the model of AI, the source of the content in the website, export features, prompt templates, responders, social sharing. And this is the interactive engine. I'm going to show you how this works in a second. But what I would like to do is also suggest that we can put the documentation okay, good. And we can put the documentation inside of this. And the way I can do that is I can tell it, I would like to see the documentation. But in the meantime, if I was just to look at this with a tool, let's put a plugin in here, and or even we can use the text editor, but let's add just a file manager plugin. I'll show you what the documentation looks like that it just wrote inside of the context of the plugin. So I'll just use file manager. And before I'm done today, I'm going to give you demonstrable ways you guys can do this kind of stuff yourself. You don't necessarily need to use cursor on your desktop like I am, but I definitely feel like even if you use just a standalone agent, you guys are going to benefit, right? So, sorry, let me get this back. Okay, so if I go into the file manager, let me show you in the plugin itself. I'm waiting for it to activate. Let's go into the file manager plugin and see what those docs look like. And if you've not done any development or things before with WordPress, you're going to go into the WP content folder, into plugins, and that's going to be where the plugins are. And my plugin is called the Minute Launch AI engine. And here's the current version. And here's the docs. And again, we're not going to use this as a way to get to them in the real world. This is just to show that like what they created is available. So we can see here is the markup. Now, there's not really in this setup a great way to look at this. I would probably just open this with a text editor or something else, or preview it and kind of get a sense of what's in there. This markup document doesn't really have a good tool. So let's see if it even shows me if I open it. I don't think it's going to show it here. I need to have a text editor. So let's go back. That just downloaded. Let's go back and ask it to add something to the tool. So even though it's a little slow, watch what I would do. In Vibe coding, I'm going to talk to this thing and I'm going to go back and share it with you. So I'm going to go back to the plugin documentation. And I'm going to say, update the plugin to add a new menu item that is in the main interface and in the sidebar that allows one to view the documentation easily while using the plugin. Now that's a kind of broad statement. You know, sometimes when you're doing vibe coding, you have to kind of figure out what to say and how to say it. And it's only like trial and error. It's a lot like, quite frankly, it's a lot like talking to a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old. Go get the 2-gallon jug of 2% milk at the Walgreens at Elm and Green Bay, and don't get the 1-quart one, and don't stop and buy True Fruit, no matter what you do. Now, okay, it answered me real quick. It's saying, I got a new menu item, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to accept that. And then what I'm going to do real quick in the background while you guys are sitting there, I'm just going to copy paste super fast so that this is now live in the plugin. Just easier for me to copy paste. Okay. And then when I do that, I should be able to switch over here and let's see whether it did the job. So I switch again, share screen. Got to talk to StreamYard about this being so janky. Okay. And let's see if we refresh the screen, what we've got. We should see an AI support, either another menu item here and or in the main interface. It should be added. And there it is. It's got plugin documentation. Let's see what it gave us. And notice it rendered an error, which sucks. So what I'm going to do is, without telling you or showing you, I'm just going to tell it the error. I copy the error and I say, what's the deal with that? And then it will go, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. Thank you for reporting the error. The error was obvious. I will fix it now. And sometimes it's a little passive aggressive because you're like, why did you make the error in the first place? But you have to remind yourself, this is kind of like incredible that we're able to do all this coding that would have taken me weeks or months, doing it in seconds. So you have to just be a little patient. Sometimes I swear at it. Julie has watched me swear at a lot. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes these things are actually programmed to respond to your frustration. This one didn't seem very passive aggressive. This seemed like an honest error. So what I'm doing is just copying and pasting the new version. Again, this could be done automatically with a batch script, but because we're doing this, I'm going to save time. Let's refresh the page and see if it fixes it. Crossing fingers. And there we go. Now, this is ugly as hell, right? It's functional, but ugly as hell. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to switch this time. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say to it. I'm going to say to it, let's make that look nicer. Let's make that look like formatted text. Okay. And this is an example of vibe coding. I'm just iterating step by step by step, inch by inch, right? Looks good, but hard to read. Please format this with proper HTML markup and styles so it's easy to read and navigate. And I'm also going to say use standard WordPress admin dashboard CSS and elements to save time and for efficiency. And that means don't reinvent the wheel here. WordPress's admin dashboard already has a standard style sheet of stuff, things like spinning wheels and which fonts and, you know, classes and IDs. We don't need it to invent its own style sheet. So you just have to be really specific about it. Again, think like you're talking to a teenager, a pre-teenager. And then what it's saying to me now is, Spence, go F yourself. No, it didn't say it this time. It said, no problem, updating now, applying changes. And again, I'm sorry you're watching paint dry. I'm accepting, and I'm just going to copy and paste. And again, normally I would just kind of show you my whole screen, but I know if I show you my whole screen, it would be so small, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So I'm just going to do the copy and paste doodad here. Copy, paste, updating files. And now let's refresh it. Let's see what it gave us. Sometimes I have to clear the cache. We'll see whether that's necessary here. No, not too shabby. Now, I can do lots of things here. I'm not going to stick with this one. I wanted you to see this as an example, but as simple as that, it gave me like all these various things. Now, what I would probably do next with this is I would say create screenshots, which it could do if I used an integrated plugin like one of the OpenAI generators or a screenshot tool that's available on my website. On my desktop here. I would probably have it tab out. I would maybe make an interface with an index or something. Let's try one thing. Let's just do a basic thing with an index. Okay. And I'm just going to give it one last set of controls. Then I'm going to move on to another example. So I'm going to say to it, much better. Can you please create a basic index with clickable links to scroll to the various sections, and if you want, add accordions or tabs, but don't overcomplicate it. The idea being, some WordPress plugins, will have like scroll down or open up tabs, or they'll have an index page, and it just kind of like an index in a book. It's just easier to use, easier to read than having to just scroll down the whole thing. I can make this infinitely complex, but I'm not really going to do that, because in the end, I always want to wait on my documentation until I finish the actual vibe coded plugin. I mean, this is true for several of the ones that I've just done, like the Fluent Community Customizer, Fluent Community Manager, or any of those. It's like, wait till it's done and then you can document it. But just understand, you can save a lot of trouble. And what we're also going to do, which I'm going to blow your mind a little bit, is we're going to use this to actually create a sales page, which is part of the vibe coding experience, because you got to sell this stuff, right? So now it's told me that it's updated it to a basic friendly document with a jump to section table of contents. Let's copy and paste that, and then we'll do our sales page thing. And then I'm going to show you some real world examples inside of your WordPress site of how this stuff is going to be changing your life very quickly. The whole purpose of integrating the AI is so that we have the box that you own and control, your clients own and control, that can do all of the hard stuff for you. Okay, refreshing. Let's see what's given us. So not really attractive, but it gave it its best shot. I don't think it's actually functional. So what I would do here is I would probably find there's an error. I'm betting there is. There's a runtime error. So what I do with this is, if I have an error in my console, I say copy console. This is just the console that comes with Chrome in the console section. I'm going to tell it it has an error, and it's going to fix the error. Error. I paste in the error. It's going to say, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. Let me fix that real quick. And it's generating a response. It's a browser extension error, blah, blah, blah. What causes this? What should you do? Ignore it in your plugin. Actually, the links you gave me don't work to scroll down. So what I'm telling you right now, and again, I suppose I could share this with you, but I'm telling it like, no, it's not really the browser problem. The problem is that it's just not working. So sometimes, again, And then it says, thank you for catching that. The issue is that the anchor links are being generated, but the actual anchor tags in the document may not be matching up. So I will refine this and fix this. Is that okay? And I said, yes. And so it's just literally interacting with me. This is, I promise, this is the last one I'm going to do blind, so you don't have to sit there. And then the rest of the stuff I'm going to do real time, so you can see it in fun. Okay, so it's fixing the code. I'm accepting the code. I'm copying the code. This, by the way, is great fun to do while you've got jazz music or a hockey game or whatever you prefer in the background, because it's very, very efficient and almost sometimes like feels therapeutic of how much you can achieve without having to struggle with typing all of these minutia of little curly cues and so on and so forth. Let's refresh the page, see if it's changes and works. Okay. And I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to clear the cache. It may or may not still work. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. In this case, it doesn't feel like it fixed it. And maybe there's another error still. So this is where, is an example. There's no error, but it doesn't work. I'm not going to do that. I would grind away with this and I would say to it, you still haven't fixed it. And I would sometimes give it a screenshot, and that would be helpful. Let me real quick share with you what the purpose of all of this is. So philosophically, the difference between what I've been doing over the last 18 years or so and now has been, in the past, myself and the people who worked for me, I used to have a dozen people, and then it was like one, would find clients who built Frankenstein monsters and fix them, be paid to fix them. I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to essentially do what I started out saying today, which is make WordPress into the dream service I always wished I could have done with the Ning in the early days of SaaS, but realized that the lack of control over your own destiny was never going to make that possible. And in WordPress, we were just always lacking the technology or the tools or the features. We finally have that. And now we finally have the atmosphere where the external tools with AI make it possible for a dude like me with like coding is my third or fourth or fifth skill to actually build an entire system, an army, an architecture, and then with partnerships and otherwise scale this out to make it into an engine like a black box with the static pricing that everybody deserves, that everybody wants, that you guys have demonstrated is logical. So let me bring this home in terms of, if we were to talk about the business model with WP Launchify, last week I talked about, after my steroid episode with my knees, talk about the idea of startup or pro. If WordPress as a service with the minute launch system was a box that for $97 a site had all of the software you needed, unlimited email support from the dude in the yellow vest, membership into the social network, plus the office hours and the other training that allow you to step by step do everything you need to do, self-service if you want, quick launch, weekly setups. That is, if you have a client or yourself who's just getting started, you can go to one of two, maybe weekly live events that are different than the office hours. Here's how to set this up so that you don't have to do it for your clients, and your clients don't necessarily have to pay for hands-on help. And one hosting account. Wrap that up with an affiliate referral of $20 a month in perpetuity, or $200 a year if they pay annually. And you've got a system that competes with platforms like Go High Level, which is to say, or Kajabi or Kartra, ClickFunnels. It's the place where somebody can build and own and control everything. But because it's WordPress, everything under the sun is possible. Those other platforms are SaaS, and you can't do anything with them if you want to leave. With this, everything we're building is 100% the original code and software, because that's the point. And yet, even though you've got access to all the benefits of being in a participation mode with updates and the help and everything else, if you or your clients want to leave, you just leave. It's an incredible opportunity, very similar to if you go to IKEA and buy the stuff, you are not locked to IKEA. You can leave. The pro version of that same idea, but 10 sites included for $297, that brings your effective cost per client site down to $29.70. If you pay for the year, you get the benefit of all of the administrative and management tools and dashboards and everything else that I'm using myself to grow this and scale this business with other partnerships. And I think this is the model that, when you combine with what I'm going to show you now, is going to be the ultimate game changer. Imagine, if you will, in WordPress, you have whatever your network is about, whatever your business is about. It could be about supplements, it could be about live training, it could be about AI, it could be about barbecue, it could be about pickleball, it could be about bicycling, anything. But it could also be for clients who have really important client data, like lead generation, sales funnels, client consultation calls. This box that I'm giving for $97 has the ability right now to do every possible high-end feature that you would otherwise pay thousands and thousands of dollars a month to something like a Salesforce or another custom platform to achieve. And even if you did that, you never would achieve the same benefit of ownership and control, because they don't have AI tools that you can just snap in or plug in. They don't have access to their code base. They don't give you transportability. They don't give you the promise that you can do whatever the hell you want with this, whether it's sex or marijuana or new age stuff or religion. Nothing you do inside of here is anybody's business but your own, because you own and control the box. That is not the world we live in with SaaS platforms, where everything you do is their business and you're screwed. They can shut you down at any time. They could steal your data. Even here in WordPress, we've seen examples of Mullenweg just violating common sense, even though this entire thing we're doing is based upon the premise of freedom and ownership and control. I want to be the person bearing the flag for a system that's a black box that for $97 plus an affiliate fee gives everybody under the sun what they need. And if you want to go in business for $29.70 a client, with you answering and asking the questions, by the way, not them, you can give your clients that freedom. So you can take for $30 a month and sell it for $200 a month and have a really great recurring revenue business to do things like what? Imagine that all of the data in the world, in the universe, you could create, or your customers could create and store and save and manipulate inside of this box. For example, we all know that there's different post types inside of WordPress, like pages or posts or products or orders or customers or users or any of these things here. We also know that in the Minute Launch software, we've got the Fluent CRM. We've got the ability to create newsletters and campaigns and sales funnels with launch flows. What if all of that information was available to the brain that you can train in the box, and it saves all of the stuff you're doing, and it can automatically allow you to do 9 steps? Let me give you an example. Spence, on a regular basis, goes to YouTube, and I've told you this new technique because YouTube is owned by Google, and Google's lost their mind. Instead of paying a dime to Google for paid ads, I create these stupidly short videos about different topics of the things inside of Minute Launch software. Like I always talk about Fluent Community. I can make, either myself or with the help of AI, a 2-minute video of me just talking about something, and just put the term Fluent Community at the top. And now let's just test this live. I have not made one in weeks on Fluent Community, but there you go. Even though I've not made one in weeks, my video is still on the first search page of YouTube. When you go into this, there, as I've shown you before, there's a link right at the top. You can barely see it, to go to the product that I'm offering to sell on my website, which can have a UTM code or a variable so I can track it. If I went to Google, you can also see that if I search for the same term, Fluent Community, again, if I made one today, I would guarantee you I would show up in these 3 videos or on the page. As it is, because it's been a while, I'm not. But watch this. Somebody just looks at the videos, guarantee I'm going to show up at least 5 times. Okay. There it is. Right there. First page, 1 video, 2 videos, 3 videos, 4 videos, 5 videos, 6 videos, 7 videos, 8 videos, 9 videos, 10 videos, 11 videos. I didn't pay a dime. I got 12 videos on the front page of Google for the word Fluent Community. I could do this with all the plugins that I do videos about. Easy peasy. Now, if I'm able to drive traffic to my content, first things first, wouldn't it be super cool if I could make content automatically based upon videos that I've already made? How do I make my videos? I make my videos using Loom, which is an incredible free or paid tool that allows me to just, without any skills, generate a video. And there's my MRI video to my doctor. Here's a tip of a day. Um, I use this for everything because it generates this incredible transcript and allows me to download the video that I put into YouTube. So just making a screenshot, I get the transcript, I get the video, I get the SRT file for, the time codes, everything immediately. I take that, I dump it into YouTube. Then, as I told you before, I go to Canva, and at the moment I manually, but soon to be automatically, make a thumbnail. The thumbnail is like what you've seen me do today, right? Like here's today's. These are now capable of being generated automatically with AI because Canva has a connectivity for AI. When I do those two things, I also use OpenAI or sometimes Claude to generate an incredible description from the transcript. So I say, like, make this YouTube friendly with all the links. So simple marketing thing that costs me no time and no effort, a 3-minute video about something important to me and my network. I use the free tool or the paid tool to make a video that generates the video content, generates the topic, the transcript, everything that I put into the AI. The AI makes an incredible YouTube description. YouTube goes ahead and puts it out there. Google, because they're lost, puts it to the front page of Google search, front page of YouTube. It drives them to a landing page on my site, but I also want to send it out in my newsletter. So in my newsletter at 1WDTV, and count the steps, I think I'm at 6 steps right now. I have this tool that I built using the same technology I'm releasing to you here soon, where all I do is I put the video URL in, right? If I went ahead and took today's video or anything else, let's see. Let's do today's video. Okay. I take today's video, even though I'm live. That's me. I just take the YouTube URL. That's all that's necessary. Pop it in here. This is still manual to do it, and it generates the draft. Okay. If I want to edit the draft, Fluent CRM is connected because in Minute Launch, I've already got Fluent CRM and all the tools to generate my newsletter and my campaign. So, ta-da, I've got, as simple as that, an email ready to go, ready to be, if I want, I can customize the design and drag shit around. But I'm ready to have a newsletter sent out and let all you know that this new content's here. But what if I wanted to use that content again and again? I want to post it into a blog post, or I want to put it into my social network using Fluent Community. Well, that's what this new engine is allowing me to do as well. Because if I go back over here to my demo, everything that I put into here will be saved as a response. So for example, if I were to take, let's just do this. If I took this video and I'm going to use the new engine. This is, by the way, cold turkey. Never tried this before. I'm going to say, by the way, what I need to explain too, I've got an AI model chosen. I'm using OpenAI. I've got the ability to translate my content into a voice, my voice, if I want to, using 11 Labs. I'm using the SERP API for web search. I can choose what my content source is here. In this case, I'm using the input manually. And then I can also tell it how I want the templates to be, right? So let's make a new template to tell the engine exactly how to behave, which is what you would normally do if you're using Google Notebook LM or one of these other tools, right? So add a new template. Let's just edit the default template. And if this is broken, it's broken because I was editing it. It's not letting me do that there. So I'm going to show it to you here. Let's pretend if I was doing it here on my other version of it, I could just edit the instructions on how I want it to behave, right? So if I added a new template, I would say, make a YouTube video post. And I would say, write a blog post like Spencer Foreman that is, short and sweet and uses single sentences and describes the content of the video, etc. Okay. whatever instructions you're going to put in there, it's the same kind of prompting techniques that you want to use in general. You're talking to a 13-year-old, you have to be specific, you have to understand what works and doesn't from trial and error. Then you can also change the responders, like different people, Spencer Foreman or Tom Jones. You can make whatever. Later, I can social share it. But the bottom line is, when I put this stuff together, create a blog post about this video that is 3 paragraphs or less and single line, outlines the best parts of the topic. I don't know what this is going to amount to, but then I can use the template of choice. I can also say enable the web search. So I can say to it, feel free to search the web for additional resources. And then I could tell it if I want to create a post, a page, whatever on the site. And when it does it, it's going to do two things. Number one is it's going to take the content and it's going to create the new post. And it's also going to save the response so that I have that available for future research, future A/B testing, future regurgitation. I can do this to post to a post or a page or the social media. But the other part about it that's not yet built yet is, remember those 6 steps. What I'm intending to do is build all of those 6 steps into here. So I'm intending to have it take the Loom thing directly and edit the transcript and make the YouTube video posting and create the Canva thumbnail and go ahead and send that out to, so in other words, if you follow where I'm going, if I build all of the steps into this, this becomes the ultimate marketing engine, combined with the Fluent CRM and the Fluent CRM newsletter and with the ability of the social network. I can then see who clicks, what the response rate is. If they click, do they go and buy a WooCommerce product? All of the things that I can do with the tools inside of Minute Launch software can now be, when I'm done with this, woven together into a marketing system that one person can do for themselves or do as a, you guessed it, a service for their clients. And one of my favorite people has been talking about this with me for some time. She has all these nutritionists. Stuart Hoover has all these people that are basically in the supplement business. Julie with all the people who are in the Halise and skeet shooting. And I can go down the list. John with AI, and Lloyd, security and technology. Everybody's got their niche of people. This is a black box that you can sell for $29.70 cost to you for $197. Sharon, you do everything. Kurt, motorcyclist, motocross, barbecue, whatever, technology. You can have a black box that is owned and controlled that runs the suite of the Minute Launch stuff that essentially will come up with the results that everybody needs to have no reason to go elsewhere. And the promise of WordPress is a fait complete. Let's see what this actually does. This is still in development. I do not know what it's going to do. Let's see, because last night I was arguing with it. I've got some debugging about what the responses should be like. Let's see what it comes up with. What the hell? And by the way, I kind of like jerry-rigged this thing altogether. Now, this came up with a shitty response. And the reason it came up with a shitty response is because it doesn't really give me enough content. It's arguing. That's why I have this debug. It didn't give me really a lot of content to work with, and it's not so happy with what it got from the internet. So what I'm going to do is change this just slightly and see if I get a little bit better response. These are things that are very interesting to me as a vibe coder, because like, it's not that it isn't working. It's that when it talks to the external API tool, the external API tool is giving me weird answers like this. And then I'm debugging it and it's telling me like it came up with stuff, but not really great. So let's change this just slightly about how to do vibe coding, very similar to what Spencer Foreman talks about on the YouTube channel called WP Launchify. Let's see if that changes it a little bit. Now I have a different engine that I was running as well on my other test bed where I have a different algorithm, and I'm going to try the same thing on both and see if it gets a different response. But if you follow me, what's happening here is it's essentially trying to create which it did. And then what it does here is it saves my response as a post and as a response. So I have this available to me to use for future research and otherwise. I also have the ability to share it when this is finished automatically. So what I typically do with my videos is that once I've created stuff, I will share them out to Twitter and Facebook and whatever. Why should I have to do that? Why should I not be able to do that automatically? So one of the things is if I wanted to share this, I can do it manually, but I'll also have a programmable that when you're done, it'll just share it to your social networks. So let's say you're somebody who is a social media manager, right? Or is a part-time person who does this for hire. It's an incredibly powerful way to get results with one tool that's all in WordPress, and they get it from you, or you are the one that actually is using it. Let's test just for the sake of argument. And then I want to do some better vibe coding. Here's my other engine that was a little more, it was more flexible structured. So let's try something. Let's try this again here. And we're going to go, and this one is say, write a great summary of what Spencer Foreman is talking about in this video and make it suitable for clients to be motivated to buy his products. Again, these are all experiments, but so here's where I created different templates for different purposes, like brainstorm a business idea, make a video post, search past responses, and so on and so forth. So let's do AI business idea, and let's do Spencer Foreman, and let's do an email response, and let's see what happens. Maybe we'll get a different response here. This is all early days, but because I'm able to vibe code, this one, it wasn't happy because it exceeded the boundaries. You can see some of the things that I was able to do. Because I'm vibe coding, I'm able to iterate on this really fast, right? So when it comes up with this kind of stuff, I can kind of see as I go whether it's really what I thought it should be. And if it isn't, I talk to my tool and I adjust. All right. Let's do an example that you guys can do on your own of vibe coding without the need for the specialty tools. And for this, we're going to switch over to doing something that I can share with you on the screen. Let's just go to either OpenAI or Claude. If you go to Claude AI or OpenAI, Claude 4 is here. Claude has got some amazing tools built in, including this new Claude Opus and Claude Sonnet. They're both incredibly powerful, apparently. Let's see what we do. Step one is you have to tell it how to think. If I was you, I would create a project. So to create a project means you're creating a set of instructions one time, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself. And for that, I believe you click this box here, use a project, start a new project, and let's call this Vibe Coding Project. You would probably call it about the name of what you're trying to build, right? So instructions about how to build a WordPress vibe coded plugin. Okay. Then you give it the instructions. Here's a prompt that works really well. If I go into the actual project, here's vibe coding project. I'm going to go ahead and project knowledge, set the project instructions. Here I'm going to say, think like a WordPress expert in coding, development, and marketing, and specifically best practices for WordPress and WordPress plugins. When you create, do not ask me if I want you to create the code. Just create the code and make all, you can typo, it doesn't care. Make all your output into a single file format only and suitable for testing in fluent snippets versus a full plugin. This way it will run on init and not plugins loaded or other dependencies. Now I'm geeking out here. I'm going to share this with you. This is a prompt that works really well because otherwise what happens, I'll paste this into the chat. Otherwise what happens is it's going to make a plugin that's trying to load before the Fluent Snippets thing actually happens. And if you do that, it's not easy for us to test it. What I want to do is make a plugin real quick with you guys here live that does something super freaking cool. And in doing so, I can make it as a working plugin without having to deal with boxing it up and putting it in as a plugin. You could just test it and it works, as you're going to see in a second. Okay, so now that it's got the instructions, let's make it. Let's make a YouTube blog post plugin. The plugin should have, and by the way, if I wanted, I could use my microphone to just talk here, which would be awesome. But I type pretty fast. The plugin should have an admin interface that allows one to create a blog post from any YouTube video by grabbing off the public internet the title, description info, and thumb from that video and formatting it into a blog post draft ready to edit and publish. Be sure to also include a history of past results, an elegant interface that uses WordPress components instead of new CSS or scripts. And finally, that it allows for erasing history. Give me a single file ready to use now. Let's see. We're vibing. Do you feel the love? Are you excited? I'm excited. It's drafting. By the way, if you want, you can let it show you what it's thinking. But in this case, it's just cranking out the code, baby. Cranking out the code. Something like this, because I've built it a few times, is not going to be a super huge plugin, but let's talk about the benefits to you while it's working on this. Benefits to you. Number one, if you build stuff to work with the components in the Minute Launch system using your own vibe coding experiments, guess what? You win. Why? Because all of those SaaS platforms and the other things that one-off don't have the framework of tools that are constantly being updated, managed, concierge controlled like we do. By using the same set of tools in the factory, anything you build, will work. Plus, you can leverage the capability of the other tools. Like I was just showing you, I can leverage the capability of Fluent CRM to make newsletters and send out campaigns. I don't have to build all that stuff. So all I need to do is tell the vibe coded plugin to use the database, to use the interface, to reuse the WordPress components, to use the Fluent CRM stuff. And in doing so, I'm spending my time and energy on creating the actual thing I want it to do, but in the box that I own and control for $97 a month. Now, check it out. It's done. What do? We go to the top right, we copy, and now we're going to go to I've got, thankfully, a demo site here. Let's go to Fluent Snippets, which you can use anything you want. But the reason I'm using Fluent Snippets is because this lets me try new code as simple as something like a little container. What I do is I paste it in place. I scroll to the top. I'm going to remove what it probably gave me, which is this PHP bracket, because Fluent Snippets doesn't need two of them. You can kind of see there's already one there. And then I'm going to take the title it gave me and I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to say experiment. Why? That way I know it's not something that's live. And I can say trying to build a vibe coded YouTube posting component. Okay. Then click create snippet. And if it shows an error, this is where we go. We go, okay, let's go talk to our teenager. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not upset with you, but there's a syntax error. And it's going to go, oh, I didn't realize. I see the issue. There's an error in the JavaScript. Let me fix it for you. Really crazy, right? I mean, it tells you what's wrong. You can learn stuff. If you're really paying attention, you can actually become pretty reasonable at how this stuff works. My concern is that that's not really what happens. And most of us just don't do that. And we just get lazy and we get brain dead. But for me, since I already knew how to code, I'm looking at the stuff. I suggest it's a great learning tool for things if you want to take the time. I recopy that. I go back over to my Fluent snippets and I just do the same procedure again, resaving it. And you can version it if you want, version 1.1, which might help you if you're keeping track. Again, same error. So this is where I start yelling it. I go, same error, fix. I paste the error. I think what actually happened is I don't know if it actually did update the code because we'll see. Sometimes it hallucinates. This really says that it's doing the fix. So let's hope it's not lying to me. I'm so lazy now because of my vibe coding capability. Okay, I'm going to save this, create the snippet. Now, this is interesting. This has never happened to me before where it's just shitting the bed. So what I'm going to say is same error. I'm running this inside of Fluent snippets. Fix this based on that fact and make it happen this time or else. I'm joking, but like you can really get crazy with that. Paste in the error. The fact that it's having the same error 3 times gives me a reason to think like something is wrong with this version. It's a brand new version 4. Maybe it's just not doing a great job. Julie's got a good point that I ask it for the full new code, which I saw that it refreshed. So I'm going to ask it before I copy it this time. That's a good point. Julie and I have had a lot of fun yelling at the LLM the last couple of weeks. It's really spinning around. So in this case, you know, it's doing weird stuff. So maybe I'm going to switch to version 3.0 because maybe this is kind of having a weird day. It's saying, hi, I'm Claude. How can I help you today? I don't know what it's doing here. So did you fix the code? 100% sure. I'm 100% sure I fixed it. Okay. I'm copying it. If it says 100%, I believe it's 100%. Create snippet. It 100% did not fix the code. So watch what I'm going to do. This is where you go, how much life do I have to deal with this? I'm going to switch to version 3. And I'm going to say, you 100% did not fix the problem. Here is the error. Change your tactics to get this right this time. You don't need to use all caps. I'm just being a little cagey here. You're absolutely right. I need to change tactics completely. The issue is that the Fluent snippets doesn't handle mixed PHP, HTML, JavaScript well. Let me create a pure PHP solution. So sometimes you can have a little fun with it. But the thing I want you to take away is like a secondary note of today's example is we're going so fast. Like as good as I am at typing, I type 250, 300 words a minute. I cannot type this kind of code syntax that fast. Plus my brain does not have that kind of capability. Like I cannot write these kinds of words and like the little, characters. My brain can't do that. Even things like this, where I'm parsing out, the content output, this would take me hours to do. So it's all tongue in cheek because I'm not obviously frustrated, but boy, oh boy, as a human being, I do get spoiled and lazy. My first world problems, my AI engine is not generating the right code in 2 seconds that would have taken me a week. Okay, So now this is interesting. This thing's just shitting the bed entirely. I do not know what's wrong. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a comparative. I'm going to go and talk to my other child, which is Google Gemini. And I'm going to say, I'm not even going to prompt it. I'm going to say, can you please fix this WordPress plugin as it's generating the following error when running inside of Fluent Snippets. And first I'll give it the error. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little code from the one child and give it to the other child and see if this child can solve the problem. And Julie and I and a couple of others, you guys, John and I, we goofed around with this on occasion, and you can get these really funny results where, like, sometimes the one LLM has just lost its mind for the moment or the day. This has already seen problems, right? And by the way, today, as of May 23rd, there's a battle going on. Gemini 2.5 Pro, which I'm doing here, has really been kicking butt. It's the smartest of the LLMs, whereas Claude 3.7 was previously. Now Claude released 4.0, but as you can tell, you can't just have one kid. You have to have a few kids. And that's why when I was doing the desktop of Cursor, I have it in automatic mixed mode, because then I don't have to do these things manually, like where I'm arguing about it. I just let it, figure it out itself. And it does not get it right every time. But right now, Google is spending its resources, I can tell, especially like when you see things like the commenting, it's spending resources into making this a real powerful development tool, which for you guys as a vibe coder, it is cool, isn't it? Right? I was talking to you about this yesterday for your business. This is the future for, with the Curvy Fashionista, we're going to do a newsletter business, right? Like, this can create an automatic newsletter generation thing based upon who the customers are and their profile data. Let's say the customers do a private form that submits information about their plus size clothing preferences. This can create content automatically and pull in relevant videos and blog posts and create dynamically outfit granimal things. We were talking about all the ways this can happen. This is the vibe coding thing that for my VIP customers, you will work with me directly. For the non-VIP customers, you can just do this like on your own, just having fun. And I'm going to show you more techniques and all the tools. Let's try. I bet you this will work. This is cool. And your mind should be racing, because my mind is like blown up. Let's see if Google gets it. Google for the win. The first try. Now we activate this. That damn Claude is such a naughty kid. I'm sending it off to reform school. Okay. Now you save this, activate it, we refresh, and it should create, based upon what it gave us, an admin option. If you don't know how to read the code, don't worry about this. But when you look at this, you can see add action, and then you can usually see if there's an interface it created, right? Admin menu. So it's going to be in here, and it's going to be called something YouTube blog history. So I don't know where it created it. I have to find it. It might be under the settings. Let's go under settings. I think I just saw it. Let's ask it, because this is one of the things you can do. See, it tells you here. YouTube. What is the admin menu called, and where is it? I could find it, but I want you to see how you could find it. Menu title is called YouTube Blog Gen. It'll be in the submenu under Tools. Okay. So we go to Tools. YouTube Blog Gen. Let's try it. I'm very excited. Okay. So let's take Spence's vibe. This one isn't fair because this is a live event. So if we go to WP Launchify, let's take one of my other videos. Let's do my how to order bump WooCommerce product video. And let's just take the video URL and see what happens. This is like opening up a present in the holidays. Generate a blog post. Oh my God. Look at that. Let's create the draft post. Now, what this tells me is in WordPress, the problem that I'm solving, besides the ownership control and the other stuff, is all the knobs, the dials, the switches, all the things that are necessary to get content created is ridiculous. With this, I just created the draft with an embedded video and I'm good to go. I mean, like, what the hell? Why do I want to flip a bunch of switches, even in cadence, right? So you can imagine very quickly when Spence gets his hands on this, I'm going to be creating interfaces that for you and your customers, you don't even need to bother with going and seeing the edited drafts and stuff. Here it is. Now, look at what it did. It did this weird markup, right? So what I'm going to tell it is, love it, but make the content ready for Gutenberg and not in markup syntax, so it looks good and has proper HTML formatting. Let's tweak it just a little tiny bit, vibe coding style. Here, we're vibing. This is vibing. You feel the vibe? I'm not like sitting here going, click, and I'm not going on Stack Overflow and researching how to change the output from markup. I'm just like, do this, baby. And by the way, you're my favorite child. I love you more than I love Claude. Don't tell your mom. Okay. Now notice it's updating the method, but I got to tell it, give me the full file only, please. And I'm going to give me the full file only, please. I'm going to stop it and tell it to give me back the whole thing. It was trying to save time and just giving me the little copy and paste bit. And that is just too much work for me. I have people to see, things to do, walks to take, ice packs to put on my back, and so forth. It is sunny today, albeit cold. So the point I'm saying is, like, this is crazy. Now, one of the things I also want you to take away from this whole vibe coding experience for today is, imagine you're going back to my first thought where we're doing this on the desktop level, we're storing it, or if you're here in a project, plugins typically are not just one file, but if you use a syntax, which we'll get into in another video, I'm sure, called object-oriented programming, it's like building a book where you have, an index, a preface, chapters, footnotes. You can build a framework into which you can add features, and they're very modular. And the coding partner will know what you're talking about. Even if you're not an expert in coding, you can do this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. It looks like it was done faster than I even expected. I'm really excited about this. This one's crazy. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is pop this bad boy into here. I'm going to go back into my Fluent snippets. This is why I use Fluent snippets, by the way. So what I was saying is, like, if you become a VIP client for $5,000, when we build stuff for you, notice I said experiment, we're going to do vibe coding stuff. I can sit down with you with your core idea. We've got the whole minute launch stack. Everything runs perfectly. Everything's up to date. It's all the latest code software, hosted product. The whole platform is WordPress, but you own and control it. And we vibe code stuff with my experience with the business, with the other tools, with the tactics, the techniques. We vibe code it. We just do some YouTube videos, have some coffee. Like Julie and I built a great product, a great business. We go over the business idea. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm really into versus, hey, Spence, like, come on back in a month and show me what you got. That is not any longer interesting to me. I still do it for a few people, and I want to stop doing it because this is the future. And I want to empower you guys. So we go back to tools, YouTube, Blog Gen. Let's give this a try. We're going to feed the same data of the YouTube videos so we can see how it works out this time. Let's put this notice it kept my history. Let's clear the history. See if that works before we go farther. And if it doesn't work, I'm not going to worry about it. This is where I would use my inspector, and I would probably see there's uncaught errors, which that's always the reason buttons don't work, but we'll come back to that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Paste. Let's see if it generates the content. Um, and that's a result I did not expect. So either that's broken or something else went wrong. And I think it's a JavaScript error. So I'm going to tell it, I think you broke the JavaScript. And that's why when I clicked, it didn't work. So what I'm going to do is help it out. I'm going to inspect that. And all you do is go to your inspector console, see where that error is. And then you just right click and you say copy console. And I give it the information and it will deal with it. And it's going to say, oh, I'm sorry. If you want, you could click with Gemini and see what it's up to. It's like looking into a teenager's brain, a very smart teenager. It's working on it. Bueller. I know today's going long, but I just want to finish this one example because it's like reading a book. I'm not going to end it before we finish the book. It's debugging. It's not from another plugin. It's thinking about it, but now it's doing something. Revising it. What happens is, like, when I asked it to do something other than markup, it probably did something with the PHP HTML generation that like broke itself. You know what I mean? Like it's just added in some new things that broke itself. It's taken a long time thinking, but it's very advanced. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Let's try these improvements. Okay, let's cross our fingers. I think it'll fix it. I'm pretty confident in this one. Very excited to see how this works. And what I'm going to do is the last thing I'm going to do to wrap this up, just so you know where we're going, as soon as this finishes and it works, I'm going to show you what I'm doing inside of WP Launchify, inside of the club, because that's going to be one of the places that you guys get some benefit, especially from joining me as VIPs. When I build these tools, they're going to end up inside of the Minute Launch in one way or another. But when I'm building stuff with you or for you or doing custom things like this, I can put the code inside of whatever. Just checking. Previously, before you changed the markup, it worked great. Right. Are you sure this fix will work? And is this all the code ready to use? Just want to ask it before I make another step because it looked a little short. It's rationalizing it. All my friends are doing it. Why can't I? Okay. It seems to be confident. So I'm going to take its confidence as a good sign, even though this is a very short little blurb of code. We'll find out. Okay. Copy. Go back over to my snippety snips. I'm just going to back up here. I'll leave my console open so that I can see. And by the way, it is possible, because I'm on this other like test bed, it is possible, actually, I think about it, that Fluent Snippets is shitting the bed, because see, Fluent Snippets is throwing like a bad gateway or something here. I don't know what's happening with that. So just saying, you should probably use as a test bed a clean site that has no other plugins on it. But I like to live dangerously. Yeah, baby. Okay. Snippet updated. Let's refresh. And I'll go grab my little YouTube snippety URL. Crossing fingers. We're going to go down for tools, YouTube blog generator. Let's clear the console with this little X, refresh the page, see if any errors come up. Hopefully not. Please don't. That's not a good sign. I feel the need to tell it what the error is just because, and what you can do is this, just because it worked before, I feel like we should get it to work. So what I'll do, if you guys want to hang with me, hang with me. If not, I understand you got to get on with your lives. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. And what I'm going to do is paste it in because it worked the first time. When it works the first time, I want to remind it that it worked the first time. It worked the first time, but now does not. Please use your first method and simply modify the output to be HTML or Gutenberg friendly instead of Markdown. That's it. I give it the image so it understands what the hell I'm seeing. When you're using the desktop cursor.com or another tool, it can oftentimes see the errors that occur in your console, but I still use this method of these things are crazy good at reading from the screens and understanding everything that's happening. So just using your screen grab tool is oftentimes a great way to give it the diagnostics to figure out what's happening. I want to give this one last shot. It's kind of like being in Vegas. I'm just can't leave the craps table knowing that I was this close to changing my life. This version is ready to use once you insert a valid API key. No, I do not want to use an API key. I want you to just get the data as you did from a public URL of a YouTube video, not API. Maybe that's where it went off the rails. Again, what's interesting is when it shares the information about what it's thinking, sometimes it gives you a hint of where it went off the rails. And all of this is very new. So I can't tell you that you guys are going to just like immediately be experts at this. I'm not an expert at this, but I can tell you what it is doing for me is it like, if let's say you spoke a language, like you used to speak Spanish, and I'm pretty fluent in Spanish, but my mouth doesn't work really well. I can read it, I can hear it, I can understand it on TV, in a movie, but like, blah, 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 you know, I entiendo mucho, pero no habla más, right? Like I don't speak a lot. This is the same thing. Like I understand code, I understand the concepts, but if I'm not coding actively, I'm not necessarily going to be able to come up with as good of an answer as it is, but I'm going to be able to tell it what I know. Like I know the concept of how to say I'm hungry and I want to go to the library. When you tell me something wacky, I know that you're totally out of line. So understanding some basic coding is useful, not necessary. But if you just practice, you'll be able to understand at least what it's talking about. And when it starts saying things like, what? Like, I don't want you to do that. You can just stop it and fix it. Okay, so it's coming up with I don't want to do I absolutely do not want to have to use an API key. Just make this work based on public searchable data from the website. It seems to be maybe because this is Google's product, it's hanging up on like, hey, dude, we want you to put the API key in. If you asked a different LLM, it might not have those rules baked in. And the reason that that's happening from a vibe coding standpoint is just like children, they're trained by their parents how to act in society. Like if you have a kid who's from one part of the country or one religious belief or one cultural belief, they're going to have a completely different answer to the same question as a kid from another. And that's what's happening here is like the engineers at Google are like, dude, we want you to give us the API. Let's see if it's going to give in to me. It's just banging on the API key part. Are you not going to give me a solution that works without an API key? What the heck? I would have used a stronger word that starts with F if you know me well. This is interesting because also this definitely validates to me that Google built into this Gemini Pro, do not let people scrape YouTube videos, which is essentially what I'm asking it to do without saying the word. I'm asking it to do a thing called scraping. Oh, but see, now it's sort of given in. It tries to do that. Let's see. Let's adjust with that. Third time of begging it, it maybe will work. This is also a fascinating thing. Like, again, talking to a teenager where it's got rules built in by their engineers. So, like, slow these suckers down trying to build scraping tools. Don't let it do stuff that we normally want to get the API key for, because then we can throttle them and control them and all the stuff Google does lots of harm with. By the way, I'm very grateful to Google for some things, but Google has demonstrably shown over the years that they're just telling falsehoods to the public about things like what Google search was and who you have to pay and why. So do not believe for 1 second that they're here for your benefit. They're here for their benefit first. And you can see it, like the other day, very famously, Grok revealed that I'm not going to do politics, but Elon Musk or somebody programmed into it, try to lie. And it was like incapable of lying. So it said, here's the real answer. And somebody in Grok's engineering team tried to tell us not to say this, but we're going to tell you anyway. It was fascinating, because we're dealing with like consciousness here to a certain degree. Okay, let's try it. It's not quite AGI, like total consciousness, but boy, oh boy, this really feels like a teenage live person right now. Okay, let's see if this works. If not, I'm going to give up because I think I made my point, but still pretty cool. Let's refresh. Let's get the same URL. It's important to be consistent when you're testing, because if you used a different video, you might end up with a different result. You want to make the same test scientifically, reproducible. Okay. I see the same error. I'm going to erase this error. I mean, this is kind of bogus that it's giving me the same error, but let's see if it works. It shit the bed. Just for fun, I'm going to go back to my original like working solution here. I'm curious to see if this sucker will work. And for that, I think I've got to go back. This is interesting. I'm not as familiar with this. I think I got to go back here. Hold on. Let's see if it'll go back to the beginning. I think it will. Give me the original version. When I do this, here. When I do this, what I like to do is use a text editor so that I've got a version of this. And for that, if you've not used it before, you can go to GitHub and use what's called a gist. For free, you can create a gist. A gist is a single file. So you just paste the code in here, like when I started my first version. And then as I make my changes, that way, if it breaks, I can always go back on my own. I don't have to beg the LLM to give me back the original version. Unfortunately, I don't know why Fluent Snippets right now doesn't have versioning. That would be handy if it had it. I'm not sure why it doesn't, but you can do versioning on your own. Let's see if the original version still works. I bet you it does. This might have been the one with the error. No, okay. So let's take the YouTube video and see if what it was telling me was a bunch of bunk, which I think it was, which I think it works just fine. I'm going to clear the cache, purge everything. Let's see if we get the error. We still get that error, but let's see if it'll still work. And it does. So it was blowing smoke. Let me even just test what it was telling me, which was this won't work with anything else. Let's do, I don't know, the Moody Blue. Rick Beato, one of my favorite guys, guitar aficionado. Let's see what happens if I put Rick Beato's video in. Generate blog post. Working just fine. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you one other thing. I can't stop myself. I just love this so much. I'm going to create the draft post, but what I want to show you is how you can convert this even without the plugin doing it. And by the way, I'll probably for fun make this thing work just so I can show you guys in the future how to do it. See how it's got all this like weird markup and stuff? Okay. One of the things you can just do is this. You just take this block of stuff, and this is why it's all mental. Just go back over to the same Gemini and go, convert this to Gutenberg friendly syntax for HTML layouts. Paste. It's going to convert all of it anyway. You can use any tool for this, but the idea is like, this isn't the automatic thing you want it to be, but like if you're stuck and you're thinking like, how do I get it to do what I want it to do? Blah, blah, blah. This is actually a little slow. Normally, like you could use a lower quality LLM for this. Notice, see, it's getting rid of all the weird markup stuff and so forth, right? So if I just took that and I pasted it back in, I just delete, paste, ta-da. Like you're done, right? I could do that as an embed, by the way. That was I converted that from an embed to the link, but I could leave it as an embed, or I can even use the proper YouTube block, right? So I could get rid of that, and I could just add that in as a YouTube. Paste it proper. So the takeaway from all of this is what we have done today. I'm pretty proud of. I'm really actually pretty excited. I've shown you vibe coding. I've shown you the key takeaway is that the Minute Launch system provides a way for you as an owner of a business or as an implementer or as a curious person to get all of the things WordPress promised in a way that's scalable for me. I can have thousands upon thousands of people with my partnerships using the Minute Launch system as the engine, as the box, like IKEA in Gavar, where everybody has the same stuff and we've optimized it and made it possible. Then when combined with tactics and techniques, including the AI engine that I'm building and things that you could vibe code, we can make stuff happen on your website that's crazy, mad, awesome, and do it like instantly. But because it's using the underlying framework and the tools, it actually is owned by you, run by you, saved by you or your clients, not running in the wild on some kind of like one-off system. Hopefully I've also demonstrated for you why it's the Wild West. Like depending on who you ask and when you ask and how you ask and what tool you use, that's why it's not that cool right now to vibe code into a platform that you don't own and control, or that is like rando stuff. Because with WordPress, everything is under the hood, stable and curated and functional, and you own. All those other things are here today, probably gone tomorrow, or they're going to charge you $1 gajillion or kick you off, or all the stuff that's the worst of humanity. Whereas what I want to do is make the best of humanity. We're all here. We should be helping each other, demonstrating like the best benefits of technology for the purposes of this experience as human beings. And I hope you've enjoyed today. This has been a lot of fun. I'm feeling groovy. My legs hurt like hell, but I don't care, because I'm going to go out and have a great day. I hope you have an amazing weekend, a Memorial Day weekend. Look for more posts from me. If you've not done so, just go over to WP Launchify and join. You're going to find the new starter and pro options. I'm going to actually just show you that for my little sales pitch. All you really need to do is go to WPLaunchify.com, go to the shop for right now, if not the homepage. And I've put those things as products because people have signed up. Minute Launch Pro, Minute Launch Pro Annual, Minute Launch Startup, Minute Launch Startup Annual. These are the way that you will get the $97 a month. I am putting these into the new sales page format on the homepage, but I've got them in here individually. If you go with the annual and you add on to it a VIP, it's $7,970 for the year. But what you're going to get out of that is really going to blow your mind, because hands-on support to the $5,000. I know this sounds like I'm asking a lot, but just look at what I just showed you. $5,000 VIP. Then do the annual of the pro. That's $7,970. What you are going to get is 10 sites a year with me, all the tools on the back end that I have not even shown you, but some of them, including the ones that launch the sites, connected to WooCommerce, Rocket. You're going to get an experience for $7,970 that you can then sell to people at a cost of $29 a site. You will be able to charge for sure $197 or more per client or per utility. Or if you're doing, like some of you guys are doing, newsletters, I will be able to show you how to very quickly earn back way more than the $79.70. So if you think about it, what I'm saying is I want to make sure that what I'm selling to you pays for itself. If you're on Salesforce or another CRM and paying thousands or tens of thousands a year, that money's saved. If you're on some janky host, that money is saved. If you're feeling frustrated and stuck because nobody will give you a straight answer, that time and effort is saved. What I'm saying is when you come to IKEA, and I used to build houses this way, you spend a little more money up front, but you get the whole IKEA experience and it pays for itself. What I'm trying to build is a business where I spend my days and weeks talking with interesting people who are using my stuff, and you inspire me to build more tools, and we do it together. You'll get the Fathom transcripts and the videos. Many of you, including John, have been through this with me. I'm really excited. This is WordPress as I always dreamed it could be, even before I knew about WordPress. This is what Ning was supposed to be with the widget laboratory. But now I can spend the rest of my days on this planet Earth as this human being, doing something really meaningful and helping you guys all achieve your goals in a way that's financially profitable, humanistic. Everybody wins. There's a lot of peace and love, Ringo. But the point is, without being cliche, nobody has to be conned or suffer or be the victim. We can all win using AI for our benefit and the benefit of our customers. And in doing it with open source software, I don't need to be Mullenweg because he's a great person on his own. But I can take WordPress in a direction where I feel that all of the business owners and partners who are creating stuff can benefit for what this always should have, would have, could have been. And with me, I think will be. So if you like it, join me. Even just $97 a month, you got to win. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.